Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to take that pile of sources you've got and turn it into something you really understand, something actionable.
Exactly. And today, well, we're tackling maybe the most universal challenge there is. How do you answer that question? Tell me about yourself. Authentically,
Oh yeah, that's the one. It trips everyone up, doesn't it? New class, new job, meeting, anywhere, really.
Right. It sounds simple, but without some kind of plan, most people just end up rambling. It gets messy, maybe a bit awkward.
Totally. So we've dug into a whole stack of source material, looking at how people structure successful introductions.
Yeah.
And what we found is, well, the sources really push you away from just winging it. They want you to use a framework.
And the claim, which is interesting, is that using this structure actually makes it easy and fun.
Easy and fun, right? So our mission here is to pull out every category, every specific example from those sources.
We want to give you, the listener, basically a checklist you can use. But more than that, we need to look at why these little details matter.
Yeah, the strategy behind them so you can use them effectively. Turn that awkward moment into, well, something powerful.
Okay, let's do it. Where do we start? The foundation, right?
Yeah, the core identity, just the absolute basics, who and where.
Okay, so critical starting point. You need clear identification so the listener feels grounded. The sources used two examples, Paul and Emily.
Right, Paul and Emily.
And they gave specific ages too, 28 for Paul, 25 for Emily.
So why the specific age? Why not just say like late 20s? What's the thinking there?
Well, the source material seems to use it as a quick context clue.
Yeah.
28 might suggest someone a bit more established, maybe post-education for a few years.
Okay.
And 25, perhaps newer to a career, maybe still studying. It's sort of a nonverbal shortcut to their life stage. Helps with relatability, I think.
Right, makes sense. Quick context. So after the name and age, the geography kicks in.
Yeah, and this is where personality starts showing up through contrast.
Mhm.
They started with country, obviously, Canada and the U.S. in the examples. Necessary info.
But then it got more interesting.
Right. They immediately went to the living environment, and the contrast was key. A big, busy city versus a small town.
And the city person admitted it was noisy, but they loved it.
Mm.
While the small town person highlighted the peace and quiet, which they liked. That tells you something immediately, doesn't it? About their pace, maybe their energy.
Exactly. Tolerance for stimulation, preferred speed of life, all that.
And the sources went even deeper than the town. They mentioned housing.
Yeah, this is often overlooked, but it's quite revealing. A small but very cozy apartment.
Okay, suggesting maybe efficiency, being close to things.
Versus a little house with a garden.
Ah, the garden. I remember the source dialogue actually had the listener react positively to that.
That's the payoff. So the garden isn't just a fact, it's an image. It evokes a feeling, makes the whole thing more memorable.
So you're not just hearing data, you're picturing this cozy place or this peaceful garden.
Exactly. It shifts from objective facts to, like, a subjective feeling. Much more engaging.
Okay, so that covers the who and where. What about the what's? What they actually do.
Right, the next layer. Professional and personal context. How they spend their days.
This seems crucial for defining, the rhythm of their life.
So straight into job or studies, the examples were clear. An English teacher who apparently loves the job.
Good detail.
And a student studying art.
And I liked how the source material framed that art in English, a creative team.
Yeah, that was a nice touch.
It's subtle, but it hints at seeing connections, maybe being cooperative.
Mm-hmm.
Good for breaking the ice.
Definitely. Okay, so work or study is established. Then you ground it socially. Family, companions, the emotional sphere.
Gotcha. The family details seem pretty straightforward. One had an older brother, Tom.
Simple, classic.
The other, a younger sister, Sarah. But they added that Sarah studies music. Why that detail? Seems a bit random.
But it's about specificity, isn't it? I
Yeah.
have a sister is okay. My sister Sarah studies music, adds texture, shows you pay attention.
And maybe opens a door for conversation later. About music.
Could do, yeah. But the real shortcut to personality, according to these sources anyway, came next.
Let me guess.
The pets.
The pets. Always the pets.
Yeah.
Often the most candid glimpse into someone's, home life.
Okay, so what were the examples?
Perfect contrasts. Max the dog. Small, brown, and the keyword, super friendly.
Suggests an owner who's probably outgoing, maybe likes interaction.
Probably. And then the opposite, Luna the cat. Black and white and very sleepy.
Oh, a very sleepy cat. You learn a lot just from that. Their home is likely calm, quiet.
Exactly. Values serenity, maybe. predictable. You don't need to say, I'm an introvert, just mention the sleepy cat.
It paints the picture instantly. That's fascinating.
It really is.
And it's interesting that the sources seem to give the pet's personality more weight here than, say, the brother's job.
Yeah, it suggests that for introductions, that kind of emotional shorthand, the sleepy cat, often works better than just formal biography stuff.
More about feeling, less about data.
Precisely. Connection over just information. Okay, moving on. We've got identity, location, daily life. Now for the part that really adds the uniqueness, the personal flavor profile.
Yes. Likes, dislikes, hobbies. This is where it gets really memorable, moving beyond just facts. Let's start with favorites.
The sources kept it pretty relatable here, didn't they?
Totally. Food. Pizza and pasta. Classics. Probably strategic, right? Almost everyone likes them. Easy to talk about. Safe choices.
Makes sense. Then color. It wasn't just the color, but why?
Exactly. The perfect combo. Green for nature. Blue, like the sky.
Giving the reason adds depth. Shows observation, maybe values. It's not just, I like blue.
Right. I like the sky. Different feel. And then favorite animal. Unsurprisingly.
Cat and dog.
Cat and dog. Ties back nicely to the pets they actually had. Simple, reinforces the earlier point.
Okay, favorites are pretty straightforward. What about hobbies? This is where the detail gets really specific, I remember.
Oh yeah, big time. The sources insisted, don't just say, I like music.
Right, it was listening to music, specifically old rock.
That old rock detail is gold. Places you generationally suggest taste. And then playing soccer on weekends.
The on weekends part implies routine, commitment, activity, very specific.
And for the other person, painting connects to the art studies, obviously.
Nice link.
And reading, but again, specific adventure stories.
What you read says a lot, doesn't it? Escapism, curiosity.
Totally. And these specifics, they stick with the listener. Gives them something concrete to ask about later, a conversational thread.
Definitely more memorable than just, I like reading.
Much more. Okay, so we have likes and hobbies, but just as important, maybe even more so for personality, the dislikes, what you don't like.
Yes, the dislikes. This is where it gets human, sometimes funny.
We had the olive example. One person dislikes them, the other loves them. Instant, low-stakes connection point, even through disagreement.
That's a great little strategy. Makes you seem real. What else?
Practical stuff, spicy food, too hot, indicates maybe a preference for control, milder things.
Could be. And then the really universal ones.
Waiting in long lines. Who likes that?
Nobody. Instant common ground.
And waking up early. But with a crucial addition, a need for sleep.
Haha. Yes. So relatable. The dislikes often feel more connecting than the likes sometimes. Everyone knows the pain of a long queue or needing more sleep.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's pull this all together. The sources basically gave us a full inventory, a checklist.
Let's recap that list for everyone listening.
Yeah.
It was name and age.
Yep. Job or study.
Family structure.
Pets. Very important.
Then the favorites. Food, color, animal. 3 things there.
Mm-hmm. And finally, specific likes, so hobbies and dislikes.
That's 9 categories. Quite a lot to potentially draw from.
It is. But knowing the list is just like step 1.
Okay.
The real skill the sources emphasize is in how you use it, the application.
Right. And they gave some really key advice. 4 points, I think.
Yeah, 4 crucial tips for you, the learner. First one, super important. You do not have to say everything.
Oh, thank goodness. Because listing all 9 would be a lot.
Exactly. It's a menu, not a script you read verbatim. Oversharing is bad, too.
Okay, so don't say everything. What's number 2?
Choose what fits the situation. This is the strategic part.
Context matters.
Hugely. Job interview, you'll probably emphasize your job, maybe that commitment thing like soccer on weekends, the creative connection, perhaps.
Right. Skills, reliability.
But meeting neighbors, they probably care more about the cozy apartment or the sleepy cat.
Or whether you hate spicy food. It's about connection, not selling your CV.
Exactly. You pick from the menu based on who you're talking to and why. Meeting other parents, maybe that hates long lines and the older brother Tom creates faster connection than your job title.
Unless the job is relevant, like if you're fundraising for the school or something.
Right. Context, context, context.
Okay. Makes sense. Third piece of advice.
Delivery. Keep it simple, friendly, natural.
Don't sound like you're reading off a list.
Please don't. Use those specific details, old rock, adventure stories to make it flow. Give it personality. It's a conversation.
Got it. And the last one. Seems simple but essential.
The final instruction. Don't forget to smile.
Yes. The nonverbal cue.
It cuts through everything. Signals openness, friendliness, confidence. Sets the whole tone, really, no matter what words come out.
So essentially, the sources teach you how to build this customizable introduction kit.
Yeah.
You're not making things up, just selecting the true bits that fit best.
That's a great way to put it. And what's really powerful is that selectivity. You have this whole list, this potential biography.
But the impact comes from picking the right detail.
Exactly. Sometimes one perfect detail, like the sleepy cat, does more work than two generic facts. The structure gives you safety, but the choice of detail, that's the hook.
That really boils it down. Okay, so for you listening, as you think about your next introduction, here's something to mull over.
Yeah, a little challenge based on what we've discussed.
If you only had time for one favorite thing and one dislike, just one of each from your own life, which pair would best capture your personality right now?
Think about it. Would mentioning, say, your love of competitive baking and your absolute hatred of tangled headphone cords, would that tell a new colleague more about you, perhaps, than just your job title?
How could those two specific things paint a richer picture of your passions, your boundaries?
Use the menu we untacked, absolutely, but deploy those highlights strategically.
Great advice. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into crafting that perfect introduction.
All right, let's talk about a question that seems so easy but can really make your brain just freeze. Tell me about yourself. You hear it everywhere, right? Job interviews, new classes, meeting new people. Well, today we're going to break it down and build the perfect answer step by step. There it is, those 4 little words. Tell me about yourself. It feels like such a huge, open question, doesn't it? The pressure's on. But honestly, it's not as scary as it seems. In the next few minutes, we're going to build a simple, confident answer that you can use pretty much anywhere. So here's our game plan. Think of it like we're building a personal toolkit for your answer. First, we'll talk about why this question can feel so tough. Then, we'll start filling that toolkit, starting with the real basics, adding some details about your life story, and then throwing in a little bit of your personality. And to wrap it all up, we'll go over some quick tips to make sure you deliver it perfectly. So why does this simple question feel like such a big deal? Well, it's because it's not really just a question. It's more like an invitation. It's your chance to make a great first impression, whether you're talking to a new boss, a new teacher, or maybe even a new friend. Exactly. Just think of it like that. You're being invited to share a tiny piece of your story. And to make this super clear, we're going to follow along with 2 people. Let's call them Paul and Emily. We'll watch how they each build their own answers from the ground up. So where do you even start? Well, the best answers always start with the basics. These are the first tools we're going to put in our kit, the simple, easy details that get the conversation started without any stress. We're going to start with just 3 things. Seriously, that's it. Your name, your country, and just a little something about where you live. These are the perfect, no-pressure starting points. First up, your name. I know it sounds ridiculously obvious, but starting with a clear, friendly, my name is the best way to kick things off. See how Paul and Emily just keep it simple and direct? No need to overthink this part. Next up, where you're from. Just saying your country gives the other person some instant context, and it can be a really easy way to start a conversation. And again, look how Paul and Emily do it. Short, sweet, and to the point. And finally, a little detail about your home. This is where you can start to paint a bit of a picture for someone. Paul's little house in a small town gives you this feeling of a quiet, calm life. Meanwhile, Emily's apartment in a big city sounds way more energetic and busy. See? One small detail can say so much. Okay, so we've got our foundation built. Now it's time to add the next layer to our toolkit, a little bit of your life story. This is where we go beyond the basic facts and share a bit more about, what you actually do. For this part, we'll focus on 4 key things: your age, what you do for work or school, a quick mention of your family, and of course, pets. Trust me, pets are almost always a great way to connect with people. Let's start with age. Now this is totally optional and it really depends on the situation. But if you do want to share it, you can see there are a couple of really natural ways to say it. I'm 28 or I'm 25 years old. Both are perfect. What you do every day is a huge part of your story. Paul, being an English teacher, tells us something about his profession. Emily, studying art, tells us about her passion. It's amazing how much is packed into just one little sentence. You don't need to give your entire family history here. Not at all. A small, relatable detail is all you need. Paul mentions he has a younger sister. Emily has an older brother. It's just a simple detail that adds a really nice personal touch. And honestly, nothing makes an introduction more memorable than talking about pets. But notice how they don't just say, I have a dog. They add a little detail. We can instantly picture Paul's friendly dog, Max, or Emily's sleepy cat, Luna. That little extra word or two makes them so much more real.
All right, we've covered the who and the what. Now we get to the really fun part, showing your personality. This is where we go beyond the facts and add the things that really make you, well, you.
So let's take a look at the complete toolkit we've been building. We've got the basics down, we've got the life story details, and now we're adding those final pieces that really round out the picture. Your favorites, your hobbies, and even your dislikes.
Sharing your favorites is such a great shortcut to showing your personality. It's quick, it's easy, and it's surprisingly revealing. Just look at Paul and Emily. A simple mention of a favorite food or color tells you a little something about them right away.
Hobbies are all about what you're passionate about. We can see Paul is active and into music, while Emily is more creative and loves getting lost in a good story. This is probably one of the best ways to find some instant common ground with someone.
Now this might sound a little strange, but sharing a simple dislike can be a fantastic way to connect with someone. It's often really relatable, and it can even be kind of funny. I mean, who likes waiting in long lines, right? These little details make Paul and Emily seem much more human. So now we have all the pieces for our answer. We've got the whole toolkit filled up, but now we got to talk about how to actually put it all together, because how you say it is just as important as what you say. Let's just focus on 3 final keys to success. First, keep it simple. Remember that toolkit? You only need to pick a few things from it, not the whole list. Second, try to be natural and friendly. This is a conversation, not a speech. And finally, smile. It just makes everything you say sound more warm and welcoming. And this, right here, might be the most important thing to remember. This is not a script you have to memorize. Think of it as a menu you can order from. For a job interview, you might talk more about your work. If you're meeting a new friend, maybe you'll lead with your hobbies. The real skill is just picking the right pieces for that specific moment. So, the next time you hear those words, tell me about yourself, you're gonna be ready. You have the tools, you have the structure. All you have to do is decide which little piece of your story you want to share first. So go on, take a second and think about it. What's your opening line gonna be?